Right, let's start. Hi everyone, thank you very much for joining us for this 30 minutes webinar, and we'll try to be on time and stick with the 30 minutes about 10 productivity hacks to boost the sales pipeline. Basically, if you do have a question, you have a chat window in the application, so you can ask your question and then we can answer it at the end after the 30 minutes, but do not hesitate. And of course, we're going to send you, before tomorrow, probably this afternoon, we're going to send you the replay videos if you want to not re-watch it, but if you want to share it with colleagues and friends and so on, that's okay. And we'll send you as well the our direct contact if you want to reach out to us on specific points. And so we have Mario Haneca from Showpad who's going to join us thereafter. What's interesting with the angle that the 10 productivity hacks, and what's interesting, I think, in this webinar is that mixing ecosystem and Showpad, which are two fast-growing company software. Both companies are software editors, but we act at different level of the funnel. So ecosystem is more on the top of the funnel, and Showpad in the middle of the funnel and bottom of the funnel. And I just think that's interesting because with the track record we have some tips and tactics and productivity hacks we have implemented at this different levels, and so that we can share it with you today. So the idea is not to have a salesy webinar here. It's within this 30 minutes, it's to be able to deliver real insight you can use and share some metrics and that get along with the tactics. So just to give you a short overview of what everyone's doing here, IKO in the top of the funnel, it's how to automate prospecting. So how to use email scenario to trigger meetings with prospects. So we're in the sales automation, and at the end of it, it's more about how you control your pipeline and how you can predict your pipeline. Showpad on this side is a software to handle the content pieces that could have been created by marketing or sales and aligned, and how it's shared between marketing and sales, and how this content pieces and this interactive presentation can change the way your meeting goes and create that magic to have a higher conversion rate from meetings to opportunities, and how you can track the use of the documents after. So I'm going to start the presentation and then invite Mario to do the rest. So basically the very first ones are about how to reach out to prospect. So the sweet spot, if you want to reach a lead, sweet spot is 9 to 12 attempts, which is crazy, right? Like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, I remember it was like between 3 to 5 attempts. So now 9 to 12 attempts. It means that whether you have a dedicated sales development team or you have sales reps that do everything from prospecting to closing, this means that if you have all these follow-ups, tasks, etc., you need a sort of military organization. And you have to know your metrics so that you can track, like if you have your metrics and you have that form of organization, even if you don't have any form of automation, but then you can see that, okay, we need to engage, try and 20 or 30 or 50 new leads a day, and we can track this and be able to have that sort of control of this pipeline. Obviously, what we do internally, and I wanted to share what I try to do today, is really to share our internal metrics, what we're doing on a daily basis, and the type of productivity hacks we're using. And obviously, the core of it is automation, because there are so many crazy tasks, so many follow-ups to do, and so on and so on. So what we're doing internally, and obviously it's our own software, it's our own product, which we're selling better, but you can use any, I mean, we have competitors here, there are other ways to automate to do sales automation and all different types of technology. But So what we do is that we try to engage, I mean, not we try, we track that each SDR engages 20 new leads a day. And then we have email scenarios, so that in a click on a button, we engage the leads. And this email scenario are sales email, asking for a planned meeting, obviously. Out of these scenarios, we know that we have a constant metric, which is 25% of the target leads will automatically respond. I mean, we send this automatically in one click, but they respond and they plan a meeting with us. And thereafter, I'll go a little into that, but we have a split. It's not just email, we do phone calls as well. So whatever the technology you're using for automating your prospecting, automating sales in general, sales actions, one key obviously is the content you're sending. And this is not that easy because, yeah, it's a sort of art of writing a sales email, art of writing a sales email scenario, of course with variables and so on, but you've seen this for years. But if you want to reach a 25% response rate, it's not just having a great text, it's also having the your technology has to be able to segment, because if it's just getting one scenario and send it to thousands of people, well, you have the response rate of your traditional emailing, meaning about 1%, and I'm generous with this. So it's about segmenting, and it's about balancing the volume and the personalization for this. Okay, let's cut a long story short, but I wanted to share with us a typical email we're sending, and you will have it in the slides and so on if you want to copy, obviously. Third point about reaching out to leads. Of course, there are different types of leads, and there are people filling sales contact form, like, I want to talk to your sales. Oh, that's great. Okay, we all want this because they convert, I mean, and we have no efforts. I mean, they come to us. So, but success depends on the reactivity we have, and the fact that we pick up the phone right now, and under 5 minutes, and we are able to trigger a conversation. Then there are the what I call passive inbound leads, meaning all the leads that do fill forms to download ebooks, visiting pricing page, etc., but they don't want to talk to sales. But these are the people who are interested in the leads, are interested in you, so that of course you can engage them. I mean, out of all these passive leads, we know for sure, I mean, we have historical data on this, and it doesn't change from time to time. It's about 30% of the leads are of interest. Okay, when we go into it, pointing one by one, 30% are really in our sweet spot, our target. But we can, of course, engage with this, because even an inbound lead is not that easy to reach out and to be able to arrange that meeting. Then there are also when we do engage new leads with scenarios and so on, and we say, okay, 25% give us meetings, that's cool, but 75% do not respond. They don't respond, but they may be open, they click, they forward the email, and so on, they reopen the email, so they show some form of interest. Oh, it's email tracking. So basically what we're trying to do is to have a sort of score so that we know who to target and who to do, to run our warm calls and be able to have a lift in the conversion rate. So this is basically how we reach out to our leads. But the first question is, who are the leads we have to look for? I mean, all the lead sources are not equal. And that's something that I know it takes time, but it's a question of knowing what are the priorities, what are the good lead sources, and separate us from the others, and be able to measure what the quality of a lead source, so that a SDR or a sales rep who does prospecting knows how to focus. What do I do in my next 10 minutes? What is the most effective way of what type of leads will I try to reach out? And for this, what we've done is that because we have that data, we have that historical data and so on, and we have sample big enough. And so that we measure the effectiveness, because the quality of the source is the volume. I mean, for one opportunity, it was the type of energy you have to invest. It could be money, but most of the time it's time. What is the time? You have to reach out. I mean, try to make 5 calls, send tens of emails. I don't know. And how many conversations do create an opportunity and so on. So we measure this and how each lead source convert in the sales funnel, and they do convert differently. So basically, this is we have sort of we have done this on 50 types of tactics and lead sources, but just want to share the main ones. We give our SDRs. So first, of course, are the direct inquiries. Okay, they want to talk to us, so we have to. It's the top effectiveness, and then there are positive responses from the email scenarios, and also recycled opportunities, S2Ls, M2Ls, etc. People we've talked to that. They're lost in the funnel. I mean, at one time or another, they don't want to go further, or we don't want them to go further. And I'll go into this later. Trade shows as well, on-site prospecting. I will explain exactly what we're doing on trade shows and the type of conversion rate we can reach. The passive inbound leads, the last opportunities, trying to get referrals from existing customers, etc., return customers, etc., etc. Of course, each one of you has to do his own, calculate own metrics. So let's focus on this. I wanted to focus on how we handle leads we have recycled in the past. Working out recycled leads, people who have been lost in our funnel in the past. Of course, it's easier and it converts better than because we always think that it's greener outside. It's greener to work out fresh new leads, but the fact is that's not the case. If you look at the, most of the mature companies or fast-growing companies we see, and it's a case here internally, like 50% of our new business comes from recycled leads. So, and I've discussed with Mario before the webinar, because we discussed this before, and he said, yeah, at Showpad, we are about 50% as well. And I know that Marketo, for example, is at 40% as well, a company like Marketo. So that, yeah, it's a big part of the new business you can generate, of course, and you need a process, you need a playbook. It's best if you have a playbook, if you have a strong process about how you recycle leads and when it's the right time. Okay, and then it's about, of course, all the leads that have been recycled is to nurture the leads with engaging content. Another stat I would like to share with you is that between a discovery of a contact and the time where when they accept to talk to sales, so the nurturing time span is about 6 months here at IKO. I know that at Salesforce or Marketo, they are about a year. So they need a year of content, of building the brand, of educating, of staying top of mind, so that the lead can decide to talk to sales rep. So it's absolutely critical, because it's a large volume of the leads we can work out thereafter. Go where your leads go. Yeah, it's about hacking a audience. We've done this, and we're doing this still. First thing is about to know what are the websites, what are the destinations, what are the medias, what are the resources that your audience, your target, is using. So for us, for example, we target CMOs and VPs of sales, any type of industry. So we know there are different destinations they used to go to, and how we can access audience. So just a trick I wanted to share with you, because all of these medias allow you to become a writer. They have contributors. Usually it's not displayed on the website, but you can be contributors, most of them. And the process to get that credentials to become a contributor is pretty long, but it's worth it. So usually what we do, we have a simple process. You reach out to the main editor, and you're proposing an article, and then you can discuss. You You can share topics, story angles, things like this, propose another article, and so on. And usually after 1 or 2 articles, by themselves, they will propose you to get credentials and become a contributor. And so that's fantastic, because you have a way to drive an audience whenever you want it, whenever you need it. And latest point I wanted to share with you before I give control to Mario, it's about the trade shows. Trade shows, I mean, it's very easy. So we target CMOs and VPs of sales. So what we do, the simple process we have is that usually we know that if there are exhibitors on a specific trade shows, we know that probably the CMO and the VP of sales will be on the site. So that what we do, we use scenarios as well. We use scenarios for everything, but we use scenarios to reach out to these people. Okay, we have the list of exhibitors, so we know the CMO and the VP of sales, and we use scenarios and we try to plan a meeting because we'll be there, and we know that they're going to be stuck for 1 or 2 days on site. So there is room to organize these planned meetings. And usually we can reach out to something like 35% meeting rates. So that's cool, because an SDR goes on the trade show and can have up to 15 planned meetings with the right audience. So that's what I wanted to share with you. And now I'm going to invite Mario to speak, and then we'll explain you how they uses content pieces to dramatically increase the conversion rates in meetings. Mario.
Okay, thank you, Nicolas, for the introduction. I certainly hope that most marketers really adopt them as best practices into their own teams. Well, the second part definitely is about hacking sales velocity. Sales velocity is actually a quite interesting and quite simple, I would say, formula. But if you really think how you can really, with simple things, increase it, well, you can do quite interesting things. So if you look to the formula, you have like 4 axes that you can work on. So the first one, of course, is, and if you say a sort of general definition of sales velocity or an equivalent, is the power of your engine or your sales engine. So what's the type of revenue you can make actually as a commercial team or as a salesperson. So the first one, of course, is, well, if you're more productive and you can work on more deals in parallel, well, it definitely means that you can reach your target sooner. Of course, you could say, well, I work on the same number of deals, but maybe I'm smarter. I'm doing some extra cross-selling, I'm selling extra products, or maybe I'm upselling to an existing customer. So there I definitely can increase my deal value. But imagine that all those will stay the same, and your hit rate is going down. So you're still, I would say, nowhere, or it will still be tough there to get your target. So the question is how today you actually can use technology and learn from the insights of how customers are engaging with your content to really trigger that hit rate in your team. And then the last factor actually is, well, the length of sales cycles. Today, while with the increasing complexity, you have extra buyers. So the question is actually, how can you influence and help your sales people there to give them the tools to really have impact amongst the different players in the buying decision. So that's the sort of general framework there that we will discover over the next 10 minutes. So the first one actually is, well, how actually can we better think and help our salespeople in providing the right content at the right moment. And it's interesting there to realize that, well, there's a quite important shift going on for a couple of years already, but well, I would say not every salesperson or organization is really adapting good practices around this. So in the past, well, as you see here at the left side of the screen, well, salespeople tend to be in the driving seat. They decided when they would do demos, generate proposals, and hopefully in a sort of predictable time, they could close the deal. Well, I would say, unfortunately, for many salespeople, this time is gone long right now. And well, what we see today is actually that the buyer will decide himself through which channel actually, and also, yeah, through which frequency he will get in touch with you. So if you see here the image there on the left screen, well, you see today that customers spend a lot of time to do in educating themselves. And why? Well, because today they have a lot of sources. They can have free trials. They might have white papers, ebooks, so they can learn a lot actually without contacting that salesperson. But yeah, the annoying thing, of course, is as an organization, it's hard to measure what your customer is doing. So there, at least, you need some more digital channels and measure actually where that person is engaging. But it's certainly not a linear path today. And well, what we see today is that customers also do some things in parallel. They already start evaluating tools, maybe they're educating themselves again. So there, the role really of a salesperson is changing quite dramatically. So every time you have the opportunity, well, the goal really of that salesperson is create an experience where you add value. And this can be different in the beginning of the sales process compared into the end. And why this is so crucial? Well, customers really, well, you see there at the end are applying a sort of land and expand strategy. So they will start actually a small project and only deploy at a later stage to the full extent of their company. So this means that this salesperson really need to make sure he's winning his first deal, because then he would, if not, he would face the expansion part. And what it makes it difficult actually for that salesperson is that for all these phases, well, we have thought as marketeers, what's the right content there to help them? And well, the trickiest thing actually is, if you look at it, training salespeople would, yeah, almost you could say it's a kind of wasted money, but yeah, you see that 87% of the content of what people or skills are learning during a training is lost about 30 days later. So that's a kind of scary. So are we able today to apply technology really that helps them to drive the right content at the right moment? And yeah, today we can do this, both from sort of internal part. So here at the left side of the screen there you see for preparation and internal use. Well, what question should you ask if you have your first discovery meeting? Maybe what are the KPIs of this VP marketing you're speaking to? And then you have a series of documents actually helping that salesperson, what are testimonials for the right industry? Maybe based on the buying stage, you have different stuff you need to show. So there actually we see today that technology has become so mature to help salespeople out there doing the right thing at the right moment. So that's the first thing on content. On Hack 8, and Nicolas referred to this, well, how can we create more magic in meetings? And yeah, that's certainly needed. So recent research actually from Forrester showed that only 1 in 5 meetings is really perceived as being valuable by executive buyers. So that's a kind of scary. This also means that 80% is not valuable. And well, not surprisingly, if you look at it, and yeah, unfortunately, we discovered like a sort of similar figures. 60% actually of the deals of opportunities that people are putting into the sales funnel actually never close. So that's a kind of strange. So there, if you look at it, well, salespeople tend to be very good in product knowledge. So they can say everything about the product, but they have very much difficulties actually in translating all the expertise into what it will bring for the customer. And there, well, this of course could be the reason actually of why so many deals are not closing. And typically what salespeople are doing here, you see it on the right part of the screen, is as soon as they come in, well, they're so enthusiastic and yeah, they want to convince the customer, choose me, please. But in the end, well, what they probably missed really to have the discussion with the customers, why, what the hell would you change your current way of working? And there today, well, our salespeople are probably not trained or might not have the right tools there to create that vision. And why it is so important? Well, in 75% of the cases, that company or that sales rep actually is chosen. So there today, are there ways actually to help our sales reps to become a business coach almost rather than a sales rep? And well, I will share some examples actually here today of what our Showpad customers and people and sales reps are using there to create that momentum during meetings. So this here is an interactive application where actually, yeah, salespeople can really run a simulation. So based, for example, on a group of 100 sales reps, you might actually think that an average sales rep, well, might, depending on the country, might earn $40,000 or euros. Well, and then actually with the customer, you can run through a number of scenarios where they actually can see how much content, how much money they're losing on looking for content, and maybe you can see what your solution can bring, so what's the saving potential, and what's actually the customer need to invest there to really achieve this. So really being able to, in a sort of dynamic mode, interactive mode with parameters of the customer, creating this business case, well, just helps it to being much more credible and get the needle moving. That's the first example. The second actually is from one of our customers, is behaviour, who is working in the medical sector. And Well, one of the big challenges there, this head of digital had there, Gary Dalton, was 90% of his content was not used. So he really reworked all his content and he integrated actually in this sort of dynamic buyer aligned tool. And what this is really helping actually, so the salesperson has about 8 minutes there to do a good meeting. So immediately, based on the person, on the medical doctor or nurse he's going to meet at that time, well, he doesn't even have to ask the challenges. He just can ask, what's your most pressing problem here in your area? Well, if that would happen to be challenge 5, well, immediately he can come up actually with the right solution, product details, videos, technical data sheets, and so on. So this just helps actually to be really impactful during that meetings. And what they have seen actually in less than 6 months is that they were able to increase that pipeline with 500%. Because typically salespeople, well, they tend to speak about the products they love most, which is a kind of natural. But really, this helps them actually for the customer to discover new products. So just as an example of more interactive and conversational tools. Let's return here now to the, I think the last part of the last hack actually I will present. And that's more or less, how can we as salespeople really understand what the buyer are doing with this content that we are presenting and sharing? And why is this so important? Well, maybe over the years we overlooked that there were new type of buyers involved in these buying teams. And this might be, I would say, a security guy, maybe it's more a compliance guy. But today, those people are influencing. However, we see our salespeople are never meeting these people. So there is a risk they cannot influence the person they need. And one in particular, which I think which is very easy to do, is just look into your own opportunities. What's the average percentage that of the opportunities actually have a executive in there? Because today, well, corporate visions did find out that 80% of the buying decisions, an executive is involved. So just like with Showpad, and it was a kind of wake-up moment for us, a wake-up call. Only 10% of the cases there is really an executive. So this really means that probably, well, we're not selling high enough in the organization. We probably don't have the right story there to talk with these people. So for us, actually, what we need to help our salespeople is understanding better that buying behavior. How do they resonate? How does this content resonate after a meeting? So that's typically what we provide there in our digital tracking technology. So this was long available there in tools like marketing automation, Marketo, HubSpot, where you could look where people were coming to your website. Well, this is available now for salespeople. And if we look at the scenario here, this the image there on the top there, we have contact Bart Verbeek. So actually what we see, this person, well, he did almost anything he could with our content. He opened it, he looked at it, downloaded it, and interestingly, he shared it with other people in his team. So it helped us actually discovering who were the other buyers in his team. But there was one thing that triggered us here. You see this lady here, Anne Knapen. Well, she actually didn't engage at all, but she was an important decision maker. So there, as a salesperson, I knew who to work on to really get my influence right. So there's one scenario. The second one is a bit later there in the buying stage, where actually we provided a quote here to this commercial officer. And what was interesting, and it did give comfort, in a period of like 6 weeks, while he looked like 12 times to this offer for 9 minutes. So as a salesperson, this really helped me to understand how my negotiation position was. So this really means, on the contrary, well, if you would do the same thing and you have no reaction at all, well, you probably need to correct and adjust your predictability. So just this latest hack here describes actually that it's today possible for salespeople to better understand who's involved and also what's the individual engagement level for typical quotes. I think this was my part, Nicolas. Maybe you can go with the last one and then look if there's some questions there from the audience.
Yes, thank you, Mario. The latest point I wanted to, the idea I wanted to share with you is something I think it's critical. It's critical to share it with you. It's not really an hack, it's more a question of a mindset. But at the beginning of our ecosystem, it's something we've learned the hard way. It's how to say no to leads. Maybe it's counterintuitive. The fact is that talking to leads, creating an opportunity and handling an opportunity, it costs money. I mean, it's obvious, but you maybe invest 5 hours, 10 hours, 20 hours on an opportunity. So it's not the lead generation that costs you the most. It's really the way you handle opportunity. So first thing is, and you know that at the end of the day, the opportunities you've closed, you've won, most of the time, the people who convert are people who do invest their time with you. And people who are just curious and difficult to reach and so on, usually you do not convert them. So the very first thing is have a great qualification process. I mean, the first conversation we have with our leads can last for 30, 40 minutes. So we have to understand, because it's critical, we have to understand the organization, the pain point, and to understand whether the product will be able, depending on their contacts, will be able to deliver the value and the return investment they can expect. And if we know that it doesn't fit really, we don't invest time. Even if they are curious and they want to go forward, okay, we don't. Second thing is, of course, to be able, I know maybe you target very large companies and the sales cycle are very long, but try to focus on the quick wins. We have the lifespan of an opportunity here is about 30 to 40 days, 30 to 50 days maybe. So it's really short, it's really less than 3 months. And so we have volume and it's really better. And we know that when we invest time, it works. And final point, drop the good ideas. Yes, everyone has good ideas. But your issue, it's okay to test, but your issue is to control your pipeline. So when you have metrics, you can scale. And you have to focus on what works. And sorry for the new good ideas, but we have to focus on the priorities. That's something we've learned the hard way as well. So that's okay. Just this, I wanted to, I think it was important to share. I don't know, do we have questions at this point, Mario?
We don't see any questions coming in at the time.
Anyway, that's okay. So you can ask questions thereafter. I mean, we'll send you an email this afternoon with the replay video, so you can share it with colleagues and etc. And we'll send you in this email a way to reach out directly to Mario or I, if you not just for the product, but if you want to dig into any points we've discussed. So do not hesitate to reach out to us, and we'll be glad to get you over the phone and discuss any other point apart from the demo. If you want to demo the product, yeah, obviously you can have a meeting for this. Thank you very much to everyone, and I wish you a great day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.